I think we're good now. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is United versus Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and this is, as always, the Manchester United fan channel that is fan opinion first, fan opinion always. This channel is built by you, is sustained by you, powered by you, and quite frankly, it is what it is because of you guys. I'm not just here to talk and not engage. I want you guys to get involved. I'm so thankful you have. The channel has grown like crazy in the last several months, and I couldn't be more thankful and more excited. So let's see where we can get it next. We're on the road to 2K. We did 1,200 subscribers this week, thanks to you guys. So remember, when we do get to 2K, I did promise, and you can clip this up, that I will give somebody a copy of FC25, and I will give somebody a shirt of their choosing, a jersey. So keep an eye on that. The best way to get involved in the giveaways and get entered is just to get involved in the channel. I do pick it randomly, but obviously the more you get involved, it does help your chances because you're more present, right? So get involved, like the video, subscribe to the channel to learn a little bit more about how you can do that. If you do want to get $5 off your next jersey, go to Go Shop. By the way, they did hook me up with a $5 discount on jerseys for you guys as part of just my thanks. So there's a link in the video description. Go click on that when it's time to get your new jersey. I've got one on the way. I'll wear it when it gets here, let you guys take a look at it. You can decide for yourself. But it's much better than spending $150 on one from the club website, right? So, I mean, absolute robbers, the clubs these days. That's insane. Don't even get me started. If you get a long sleeve player issue jersey and you want a name set and you want patches, you're pushing like $200. And that is just insane. You could literally get like 7 or 8 of these Go Shop jerseys for the same amount of money, and you're never going to know the difference. So go check them out. Danny B, big up. Going a little early today, my guy, but I wanted to make sure I jumped in and talked a little bit about some of the updates today. Get your thoughts. Just a few fun things to get your thoughts on today as United bring in yet another new face as part of INEOS's kind of overall club rebuild. We're looking at academy, we're looking at training ground, we're looking at obviously recruitment structure, coaching structure, playing structure, new stadium, but now we're adding a new face to the performance science side of things. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about United's Europa League squad, because it has been announced and there's been a surprising name included. But how have we not yet looked at the Ballon d'Or shortlist and ridiculed it yet for just how ridiculous this award is? I've never once taken the Ballon d'Or seriously. I think it's just been a popularity contest for the last decade. Obviously, two of the best players in the world were competing. Honestly, the most legit it's ever been is when it was awarded to Luka Modric. But I'm looking at the list right now, and I don't know if you guys have looked at it in general closely at all, but some of these names, Emi Martinez, why? Why is Emi Martinez listed on this? Because of a World Cup that Messi already won the award for? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Martin Odegaard? Someone tell me what Martin Odegaard has done since ever to deserve this a name on a short list. Saliba, you can chuck him right in there with Martin Odegaard. Mats Hummels, sure, Dortmund got to the final, but like, they literally didn't win anything. Artem Dovbyk. So I know who this is, right? It's not that I don't know who it is. It took me a second when I read it to wonder, like, why is he even on this? Because he scored a lot of goals for Girona last season. Like, that's what is enough now to get you on this short list. It doesn't make sense to me. In any case, it's Carvajal or nobody this season for me. So if you guys take it seriously, if you guys have an idea who you'd like to see lifted, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments after the fact who should win Ballon d'Or. Any of those names you're surprised to see, any of those names you just kind of laughed out loud at like I did. Any names you're surprised weren't on the list, let me know. But let's move on here. So United have added a new face to their performance staff in Sam Erith. This is coming from Mike Keegan with the Daily Mail, had an exclusive earlier this afternoon. So according to him, Manchester United have appointed Sam Erith as performance director on an interim basis. So as of right now, until the end of the season, he's regarded as a leading figure in sports science. He has worked in roles across performance, health, and sports science after his time at Loughborough University And he was even inducted into the University Sports Hall of Fame last year as well for just what he's done since, really. He also performed a number of roles with a number of different clubs and organizations, including roles with Derby County's Academy, the FA, France's U20s, the England youth squad, and also the England's first team after starting off as a sports scientist. So the guy is very, very science, very performance-based, very data-driven. And so from 2016 to 2017, he was also a consultant performance coach working with Gareth Southgate. So that might be a stick against him, honestly, but we'll see. So he's also the head of sports science for 6 years at Spurs. And then he spent 11 years at Manchester City in a similar role before leaving a couple of years ago to head to the U.S., where he worked with the Madison Square Garden Sport Group in New York in conjunction. So that sports group owns the Knicks, the New York Knicks, obviously, and the New York Rangers basketball and hockey team. And so it's a whole encompassing sports group that he was working with as part of their sports science. Rajat, welcome to the channel. He says, hey, what's up, man? So he was also senior vice president for player performance and science leader as well. So apparently Dan Ashworth targeted Erith, and he's going to be tasked with providing an elite environment for Tenhag, for the staff, and the squad. So you remember that the whole big thing was the environment, right? Sir Jim said that, the environment has not been conducive to success for any of the coaches in the past decade. They're looking at marginal gains. They're looking at the club on a global, holistic level, top to bottom, in and out. How are they going to make this work? Raja said, who's going to watch NHL? That is more Canadian sport. Where I live, the NHL was a big deal back in the 90s. The Red Wings were a big deal here. We were lifting Stanley Cups left and right back then. And it was a huge deal. I used to play a lot of street hockey when I was younger. I really enjoyed it. I haven't played, obviously, in a long time because can you even buy rollerblades anymore? I don't even know. But it was a big deal here. Actually, one of the former Red Wings players I think he might still live. He lives around the corner, just about a couple miles down the road. So interesting. Ijeoma Chukwuma says, is he that good? You're talking about Sam Erith. We are talking about Sam Erith right now. It's hard to quantify what's good when it comes to like a sports science, a performance science guy, right? Like, how do you quantify that? It's not like a striker where you're like, oh, is he good? Let's see how many goals he has. Or is this coach good? How many trophies do they have? How many wins do they get? It's like, how do you quantify the sports science thing? I think the best things you can look at is maybe when clubs or managers or everything have focused on sports science in terms of diet, recovery, nutrition, all that kind of stuff, heart rate, all that stuff. I think you can look at how that has changed. And I do think that's why I do put Arsene Wenger in my list from some of the best managers in the league, because of what he did for the game overall when he came in and really started to focus on that kind of stuff. I think that's the best way you can quantify it overall. But if he was at City, he was at Spurs, he's moving all over the world, going to New York, working with some of the biggest sports teams in New York over there. I think there's something there. He was just inducted into his alma mater's Sports Hall of Fame as well 2 years ago. And so regarding his philosophy and his approach, so he was speaking to I found an interview a long time from way back in 2004, back when he was working on his PhD. He was working for the FA at the time, talking to The Guardian. He said, as an exercise scientist, my role is to work alongside the coach to make sure the players are in the best possible shape before and after a game. I devise their dietary program, make sure they rehydrate properly, check their heart rate during training to make sure they're not overdoing it. Finally, after a match, I work on their rest and recovery. So again, just trying to just increase in any way you can, just overall player performance by looking at all these things, pre-match, during a match, post-match, all of it. Sounds like he's going to be working closely with Tenhag and the coaching staff during training as well to kind of just be there and monitor some of that stuff. And it sounds like he's going to be doing everything he can to ensure, like I said, peak preparation, in-game performance, and post-match recovery. Rajesh says, who's your Italian team? You're asking if we have Italian teams. I don't have any other team besides United, my guy. If that's what you're asking. So we know that fitness has been a little bit of an issue for this squad. Maybe Erith can help us kind of increase that a little bit, maybe help them stay fit. maybe help them find a second win during these matches when it looks like these players are starting to die down a little bit. But fitness has been an issue for a while, even under Ollie. You remember Ollie famously called out the lack of fitness and made some comments when he was here because these players just weren't fit. They weren't able to run a whole lot. And Tenhag kind of inherited those same players. So it's not Tenhag's training, despite what people were telling you last year. No, the players just either aren't up for it, can't stay fit, or they're just not fit in general from an overall like athletic standpoint. As far as overdoing it in training goes, I mean, some people again have accused Tenhag's training of being too intense, but that's really was only coming from journalists or pundits who basically were taking it from the journalists, and there was literally no facts to substantiate it whatsoever. There is actually more evidence to suggest the opposite. Like I said, when you've got two managers for whom the players can't stay fit, that is more evidence to suggest that it's the players, not the managers' trainings. Again, all these pundits and these journalists are doing is seeing the players get tired during a match, not able to make these challenges, not able to run, and they're trying to find someone to blame. And it's easy to blame a manager even when it's lazy to do so, in my opinion. But again, Ollie said these players can't stay fit. So, and if you can't stay fit for Ollie, I mean, that's a problem. I mean, he counterattacked all fucking day and like they were already dying. So again, Erith is here on a interim basis in an effort to improve the performance, the health, recovery of the players, and kind of tackle that whole aspect, that physical aspect of being a footballer. I like that we introduced a sports psychologist a few years ago. I've yet to really hear a whole lot about that since. United, if you want someone to come in, holler at your boy. I will fly. I'll make my wife pick up a move tomorrow if that's the case. I'm not even going to lie. Somebody recommend me a good spot to go live near Manchester. Sorry, my slide just canceled on me here. Here we go. So what this could also be an indication of is that INEOS are really trying to create the ideal situation for Tenhag and the squad this season. Like Erith's only here on an interim basis till the end of the season. Sounds like they're really trying to focus on the season, really trying to back Tenhag, really give him his full backing. And like we've been speaking about the last couple of days, really the last year or so, Tenhag needs, any manager really needs an ideal environment. That goes from recruitment to coaching staff to playing staff to backing from the owners to even just the basics in sports science and sports psychology, which United haven't had in a very long time. So no coach, it's hard to judge fairly any manager when those kind of factors are not in place. It sounds like INEOS are really trying to give him their backing. But what that also means for Tenhag is like you're being backed. You're getting players. You got coaches, we're giving you time, but we want to see something change this year. That's what we've been talking about this morning, yesterday. Like we need to see what you can do here. Sir Jim, again, he said the environment has been the issue, but his team are working to improve the environment. And this is yet another example. It's another individual who's coming in to contribute to the overall environment at United. So Tenhag and the players can focus on what they need to do and let these other individuals focus on what they're doing as well. Sir Jim and the guys even said, like, Tenhag's been doing too much. Like, focus on the coaching, focus less on the scouting, on the recruitment, all that stuff. Doesn't sound like Erith may be the only new face either. So it's also been reported that United are looking to bring in a senior recruitment specialist after Deputy Football Director Andy O'Boyle does leave. We'll see what that looks like, if it's going to be we have a lot of recruitment specialists, and I'm not complaining. I'm just like, how many necessarily do you need? I mean, if they're good, it is what it is. Big up, Nick. Welcome back, buddy. We'll see how it goes, but INEOS are definitely improving. We will see what happens. If the players haven't been fit and we're bringing in someone who's, supposedly best in class when it comes to performance and sports science, then hopefully we should see a change. Don't expect changes overnight. It's not like you can go from being a lazy couch potato, eat a couple sticks of broccoli, and then tomorrow you're running a full marathon. That's not how it works. It takes time. It takes sacrifice. It takes, you have to make changes to achieve goals. So these players might also have to make changes in their day-to-day life as well. Something I tell clients all the time. Anytime you set a goal, you have to make changes on the day-to-day, or it's just not going to work. If you want to save up to buy your first house, you have to make changes on the day-to-day on how you spend and save and budget, which isn't always easy. If you want to run a full marathon next year, you're going to have to make changes to how you eat, how you exercise, how you sleep, all of it. You can't just not do anything and expect to meet a goal. So if we want these players to be fit, if we want them to be able to to push themselves, find a second win in the match, then this is the next step in that process. So Danny says we need change. We need a lot of change at United, and that's what INEOS are doing. It just, there's so much that needs to change. It's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to start challenging City and Liverpool and Arsenal for titles in a year since INEOS arrived. We weren't going to do it with tenhag and is coming into his third year either. It wasn't going to happen. Those squads at Liverpool and City have been together and under the same coaching staff for like 8 or 9 years. Arsenal are going on their 6th year now under the same coach. They're rebuilding now. We're on first year with INEOS in charge. Like, we have to be patient, and that includes with this as well. Rajat said he was hired today, Erith. It sounds like that is the plan. The club hasn't, I don't think the club has made an announcement yet, have they? Can someone let me know if the club has officially announced it or not? But that is the plan, and we are chatting about Sam Erith now because not a whole lot of people know a whole lot about him. Rajat says you don't get to CR7 Leo level within one day. Yeah, CR, and then, I mean, I know I've had my criticisms of Ronaldo since he did that temper tantrum with Piers Morgan, but one thing you can't question about him, especially when he was younger, was his hard work and his dedication. That guy, his whole goal from day one was being the best. He had to get a little bit of the arrogance and a little bit of the showboating knocked out of him when he was younger. If you remember, if you've ever heard those stories. But Ronaldo was dedicated. First one to training, last one out, putting in the hard yards on the free kicks and whatnot. You can't deny that. So let me know your thoughts. Danny says INEOS pretty much gutting, cleaning the house, and making upgrades. And that's what you have to do when your foundation is not solid, but you still build the house anyway. It's never going to work. So in order to make it better, and make it what it needs to be, you're going to have to rip down the whole house, start over again, brand new foundation. Then you can build on something. And that's what we've had to do. The Glazers got away with it for so long in combination of Ferguson was just a really good manager, and David Gill was just a really good person to have running the show as well. And then the last decade, it hasn't gone well. They've thought they can kind of distract from the fans from things by just making some big signings now and then, and we got some trophies. I'm not belittling the trophies because trophies are the aim of any sport, but they tried to just ride the wave, and because of all the turnover, because of the mismanagement, because of the finances, this is where we are. We're just now starting to see how a properly run Manchester United can look. We can get to the level of like where Brighton are when it comes to their recruitment and their talent identification and their club structure. We can get to the level where City are with their training grounds and their infrastructure and their academy and whatnot. We can get to the level of where Liverpool were, where you stick to someone so long and you really build a club right, and you instill an ethos that is long-standing, players have time to gel. You can get that. It's just going to take time. It's 2 years under Ten Hag. It's been like 2 months really under INEOS. Like, let's add some context to that. So, and Danny says, yeah, new house needs time to build. It does. And I have my expectations from Ten Hag. We've talked about that last weekend, so go check out that video. I think, we also need to temper the expectations by injecting a little bit of context and a little bit of reality. And the reality is it's going to take time. Sir Jim said it's going to take time. All these other clubs we're trying to compete with have been together for a very long time. We've just mismanaged the shit out of things for the last decade because Fergie wasn't here to kind of sweep away like paper over the cracks by being the best manager the game has ever seen. So in other news, well, let me know if you're excited about this. Let me know what you think about Sam Erith. Try to give you a little bit of his history, his qualifications, where he's worked, what his focus is, what he's going to be doing for us. So hopefully we'll see some changes. I don't think they're going to be changes that you're going to notice like immediately on the pitch and stuff, but we'll see what happens. In other news, United have announced the Europa League squad, and there is a surprising name on it if you haven't seen yet. So Tyrell Malacia has been included after not playing football for over a year, basically, because of that long-term knee injury. Maybe there's a chance he plays a key role. Maybe there's a chance he's just there in case. We know that the medical staff told Erik ten Hag last year that he would be back fit, and he wasn't. So wishful thinking, who knows? I remember there was I read earlier, there's some supercomputer with some betting company called Grosvenor Sports. They had a supercomputer that predicted us actually winning the Europa League with their probability algorithms and whatnot. So maybe Malacia is going to play a huge role in that. They actually predicted us. I think I read that going to the final against Bilbao, drawing 2-2, and then beating them in a shootout. So basically, you can go ahead and book your ticket to Bilbao now because United are about to win the Europa League final, according to the probability algorithm on the supercomputer. That's fun. I didn't realize it was in Bilbao until I looked that up. That's interesting. We don't tend to do well against Spanish teams in European competition. We just Sevilla. I mean, I call the Europa League. That's Emery's competition. That's Sevilla's competition. Obviously, Villarreal beat us on the shoe. That was not a fun day. We just struggle against these Spanish sides. Sometimes it's not our fault. Like some of the group stage matches we got screwed on in Ten Hag's first year. That bullshit handball against Licha that still frustrates me. But Raja says new club feel is going to take time. Definitely. Yep, you're right, Nick. My name, Man United should win it. I mean, and that's the thing. And yes, we should be challenging. We just where we want to get. But again, it's hard because we also have to temper that with the reality of the situation that we're in right now. It's not as easy now to say just, oh, we're United. You know, it felt like that was the excuse for so long. You know, oh, we're Manchester United. You know, players should want to come to us because we're Manchester United. Well, the truth is, it's just not the United it used to be, and that's just because of the Glazers in the last decade or so. It's just the way it was, and it could be, it really should be, but because of just every major decision that was made in the last decade was not the right decision. This is where we are, and so it's going to take time. Some of those teams in the Europa League, you know, we'll see what happens. Spurs are in there, obviously, and things like that. So Danny says, Arsenal are a good example. They're nearly there, just need a few touch-ups. Yeah, Arsenal are almost to that icing on the cake kind of thing. I think they still do need they need another option on their wing. They probably do need a fullback, and they definitely need like a top striker to really push them over the line. I think just like us not getting a left back, I think for Arsenal not getting a top striker was a big oversight on there. And I think a top striker could have really been the difference. Because I don't think Gabriel Jesus has ever been that guy. Kai Havertz is not that guy. I still don't really know what his best position is, but he's not at my club, so I don't really care. So we'll see. I think that Arsenal need to win something, though, because I've said a couple times now on the channel, Arsenal fans aren't ready to have this Arteta conversation yet about is he a good manager. All we keep hearing is trust the process, and all we keep seeing is 8th place, 5th place, bottle the league twice. FA Cup, his literally first season with Unai Emery's squad. We got Odegaard out here on Ballon d'Or shortlist after he's won fuck all. Like, someone tell me how the media isn't putting Arteta under the microscope yet. He spent a lot of money at that club. They've got Edu and everybody supposedly doing the dirty out here, getting things done, and still nothing to show for it. So when you're banking on City messing up just for you to have a chance, it's not necessarily a sign that you're where you need to be yet. So, and it's not me saying that Arsenal need to like be automatically winning things, but it's more of a question of standards. Like, why is it one standard for Arsenal but not another standard for Ten Hag? Ten Hag's won 2 trophies. He got 3rd place in his first season. Like, what has Arteta done? Like, if you want to go by trophies and things, which is what you're supposed to be going for, right? Is Ten Hag a better manager than Arteta? I'll let you guys decide. Raja, Man United looked faves to win the whole thing. I would love for us to win the Europa League. It was one of my expectations to at least get to the semifinal. My expectation is what I want and what I think is realistic are not too far apart, but we need to get to the semifinal at least. I think that winning the Europa League would cover a multitude of sins if we do struggle in the league again this year. I don't think we're going to get 8th again. I don't think that's going to happen, but we need to be not getting 8th. I would like us to at least get 6th, 5th, or above, based on just realistically what we're going up against. But I do want trophies, and I do think we need to get the Europa League to show progress. But a lot of people like to switch that over to the style of play. And to a degree, I agree with that, right? Because having a solid system, a solid, consistent style of play that is actually effective will, you know, I guess you could call it trickle-down effect, will kind of put you in the best position to challenge. So I get that. I hear both sides, and I don't think it's a question of who's right, who's wrong. I think it's both and. It would be great if managers could win trophies and have a good style of play and have good man management and be good in front of the camera. You're just not going to get all that from all managers unless you're Fergie. So we'll see what happens. Give it some time. Like we spoke about this morning, 3 matches is nothing. Raja says, yeah, get your basic installed and then you were able to move upwards and up. Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. It's going to take some time. Danny says, all depends on squad depth, injuries. If that doesn't affect us, we should at least get to the semi in Europa. Yeah. And Europa League, Champions League, even domestic cups, in my opinion, and there's a reason I don't devalue them because they're trophies. I want a trophy, but I always value the league higher because of the fact that a lucky set of draws can get you to a final in a cup, but you have to play everybody in your league and you have to play them twice. You can get all the way to the Champions League final without playing anybody who's really, really challenging, which is why I have nothing but respect for Real Madrid, especially because they're playing hard teams in the Champions League. They've played City, they've played Liverpool and whatnot over the years. Like, it's not like you just City when they were winning the League Cup every year and getting like Oldham and stuff. Like, you have no place to hide in the league. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You don't get to worry about any draws or anything. So if we get a decent draw the next round, we'll talk again. But we have to get out of the group stage. We seem to struggle with that right now. So, or sorry, the league phase it's called. I'm still going to mess that up. So Danny says we need to go back. Basic 4-3-3 high press needs to change. Bruno needs to play deeper on and off the ball. Yeah, I've said for a couple of years now that Bruno, I'd like to see Bruno more as an 8. It doesn't mean that, like, people get too hung up on formation sometimes. Not that you're doing it, but I'm just saying in general. They think, oh, 4-3-3 means your 8 can't ever get deeper in this. Your 8's got to do this. Your 6 can do this. Like, it changes in a match. The average position in the match is going to change. It's just, don't get too hung up on formation on paper. You know, it's players and the system are going to fluctuate. We've seen us go from that 4-2-3-1 to the 4-2-4 and whatnot, or a 3-1-6 sometimes. Like, it all changes. There are triggers for this on and off the ball, resting defense, all this stuff. And so that, even that, though, does rely on players who've got a good reading of the game and a good judgment and a good footballing IQ, in which a lot of our starters are not happening. But on that note, too, I think we should probably look at benching Rashford for a game or two and try and maybe use him as a sub and see what happens. He's just, it seems like he's being used more as a playmaker from the wide position now than he was in the first couple seasons, where we were allowing him to kind of get forward, cut in, take some shots, get involved. I think now he's more of a playmaker now that we've got some strikers, which really is what you want your wingers to be. But I don't think it's Rashford's game, and I think something's going to have to break there. He's going to have to get on board. Tenhag's going to have to find a way to make some sort of compromise, or Rashford's going to have to leave, or Tenhag's going to have to leave. One of these 4 things. Raja says, do not want to jinx it if Porto and Fenerbahce draws or beat us. Man, it's our screwed. Spurs is another good team to beat to win the competition. We'll have to beat somebody. You never count out Jose Mourinho in a cup competition. He's won them all. Every European, he's done it. That's his bread and butter. You never want to count him out. Plus, he's going to have a bit of revenge in his mind when we go there. I'm not happy about going to Turkey. I'm really not happy about going to Porto. That's not going to be fun. But I'm going to be trying to go maybe in November if I can. So far, the tentative plan is maybe to go to the PAOK game and the Leicester game, and then maybe squeeze in a Salford game that weekend as well, since the Europa League will be moved to Sunday, or the league game will be moved to Sunday for Europa League. If I can do that, I will be a happy panda. Otherwise, I have to reassess and might have to wait until January when we've got some back-to-back home league games. But that's the plan, so we'll see how that is. Danny says 100% Jose has a solid squad. Let's just see him going far. Did they get Archie Brown yet? I know that obviously they lost Ferdy. They got a couple new additions over there. And I know that they were targeting Archie Brown from Ghent to come in. I really like Archie Brown. Good, tall, powerful English left back, young, very fast. I think I put him in a video a while back as well as one of my options. But Raja said, how does Erik ten Hag deal with Rashi? I mean, what do you mean deal with him? So as far as I'm concerned, I mean, he's disciplined him when he's needed discipline. He's trying to play him through bad form, which can be good or bad depending. I think the only thing I'd like to see him do differently with Rashford is just bench him, or at least, just not start him, because he pretty much starts all the time unless he's, suspended because of, what happened in Belfast or whatever. But even then he came on as a sub. But to me, it's more about the play, like Stephen Housen has said a couple of times, and it's something that I've always felt too. The players pick the team, whether it's in training or whether it's in performance. Like the best players should be starting. The best players who are in the best form should be starting. Rashford, he created 2 really good chances for Xerxes. Rashford could have had a couple assists on the weekend had Xerxes been a bit more clinical in front of goal. So it's those little fine margins that go from Rashford's having a horrible season to Rashford just had 2 assists in one game with quite honestly some very inch perfect crosses into the box. And so it's fine margins, again, those that little, if Casemiro had been a little more polished on the ball, who knows what could have happened. If Kabi Meidu would have gotten some support, just a little man on in the ear, and hadn't lost the ball in the second half, who knows? It's those little things. If Xerxes' header had been a little bit wider, maybe a little bit down, who knows? So fine margins are a big, big deal. And that's why the whole marginal gains thing is a belief when it comes to building an organization. If you can improve 1 or 2% in all these little areas, if you can take apart a bicycle and improve each of the components by 1%, put it back together, that's a big deal. So it'll get there. Xerxes' his first start. He's going to get there. It's the 3rd match of the season. I think that context is key. Raja says, give him a whole second half for Rashford to prove himself. Ahmad or Nacho can come off second half. Memo to tenhag, not mad. Casemiro is not Kroos and purely. Yeah, I don't know why we're trying to build out back from Casemiro. That's a mistake in my eyes. But it wouldn't have mattered who was building out from the back against Liverpool if the system, we could have put Frankie de Jong, Pirlo, whoever in the back, but if our midfield and our fullbacks were already in the opposition half when that midfielder was taking the ball off the defenders, leaving nothing but a whole half of the pitch isolated, it wouldn't have mattered who's there. That's just, I think that was a blunder on Ten Hag's part. Danny says, use him as an inside forward instead of playing wide in the wing. That's if Xerxes plays 10 or false 9, though. There's not much more you can do with Rashford. Yeah, there's not much more. Rashford likes to run forward. He likes to get on the ball. He likes to cut inside and shoot. I mean, that's his game. I think that it's hard to tell because he's older now. Is he 25, 26 now? Is he going to be able to add another string to his bow and maybe learn to slow down a little bit and contribute? We've seen him do it. I mean, that he's got a really good on him. It's like Rooney-esque sometimes. Remember, Rooney was very good at picking those long balls. He picked out Garnacho in the FA Cup final to set up our second goal that Manu scored. Like, Rashford's got a good ball on him. I just think he wants to score goals. Nick says Erik ten Hag needs to realize something. Not every attack needs in a rush. Well, that's the thing. I think he wants to be quick transition. He wants to have numbers in the opposition half, so when we do win the ball back, we're outnumbering. But it does rely on a lot of really good passing, and it's very, very vulnerable if any of those passes go wrong and the other team intercepts, somebody loses the ball. We saw that against Liverpool, but that's how I wanted us to play against Liverpool. Liverpool just set up a little more defensively and waited for their opportunities, and we played very, very aggressively. And that was a mistake on Ten Hag's part. But we've seen that he can do it. I mean, he can be defensive and he can be a little bit more compact and hard to break down. We saw him do it against City in the FA Cup final. I don't know why it changes so much. And that's, again, one of those criticisms going in. And where's the system? Where's he has tactics. We just haven't seen them consistently enough across the season. And we haven't seen them work in a match. The latter is on the players. The former is on Ten Hag. So everybody's got a responsibility here. Rajesh says, don't like them so much. Weird knuckle crosses that he do, Rashford. I mean, he pings when he plays that ball out to Garnacho, he pings that. And that requires a lot of power. And to put it where he puts it requires a lot of accuracy. I will say, it's not easy. I've been playing for a while and it's still not easy. I definitely don't have the power in my legs, but I'm old now. So it is what it is. Danny says 100. That's on Bruno too, though. Yeah, it's on a lot of the players as well. Having a captain who is a bit rash and lacks a little bit of that composure and patience and calmness can spread, I will admit. But that's the thing. We saw Bruno calm down late last season. And then again, like I said this morning, some of these players just revert to type. We had some good spells last season where we were playing ourselves out of trouble in tight areas, but then the ball would get to Bruno or to get to Rashford, and then it would break down because we were no longer keeping the ball on the ground. Rashford would just book, and Bruno would just try to find him with a pass, and we'd lose possession rather than keep things simple, keep the ball on the floor. Like, and it's hard because there are opportunities when you can play a lobbed pass or a chip ball over the top and kind of get through a defense that way. But I don't think that's the way necessarily Ten Hag always wants us to play. Raja says, have to set up like our final games versus Brighton, Newcastle, Man City. I mean, it's hard because I struggle whether or not that's even how Ten Hag wants to play or if that's just how he needed to play in that match. Same with his first season. We saw a little bit of incorporation of how he wanted to play, but we were still a big counterattacking side. And so it's hard. And that's where it's going to come down to him and INEOS to decide, okay, how do you want to play? Is it working? Is it what we want? Is it suit what we have here? And things like that. But he's got the season to figure it out. So it's just on him and it's on the players and it's going to be on INEOS. Our part is just to support them. We can be critical. We can give feedback. We can demand more when it's not been good enough. But that doesn't mean you don't support. If you're married or if you've got kids, if your kid goes and messes up, even if your kid makes the same mistake a couple times, do you just stop loving them? Do you stop supporting them? No. You give them feedback. You let them know, hey, we need to fix this. But you don't stop loving them. It's like you don't stop supporting your club. Danny says, just keep things simple. Yeah, and that's how you need to start, right? We spoke about the other day about resilience in a match when it's not going well, when you concede, when you make a mistake. Slow things down. Start stringing together a couple simple passes, and then you can build on that. Again, it comes back to the foundation. Same with Ten Hag. When you're struggling to get results, simplify things a little bit. Get back to the basics. Build on that. See what the players can do on a basic foundational level and then add something to that to see what's going on. And you've got a lot of new players in now. That might also have something to do with it as well. Yeah, like Rajat says, don't complicate things. Rajat says, Van Nistelrooy, Ten Hag coaches, INEOS need to find the right balance. Yeah, and that's what I've said before. Like, we have a new coaching staff, and that's great, right? Really good coaching staff. But at the same time, we also have a whole new, people go on and on about how long it takes to implement new players. We've got to implement a whole new coaching staff as well. We've got new recruitment, new coaches, new players, new everything. Like, that's a lot of new stuff, trying to figure out how it works together all at the same time. Like, that's not going to happen overnight. I'm glad that it's here. It's a good foundation, like we've been talking about, Danny, of good keeping things simple, but it's like you have to figure out how it works. And so we will see. Give it time. Kind of went off track there, but that's okay. I don't mind that. Today was about getting a closer look at Sam Erith, our new performance director. He's interim basis here to the end of the season. We'll see what that looks like, if that's something we're going to extend, if it goes well or not. But comes really highly rated. Sounds like he's best in class at his job. And then Tyler Malacia included on the Europa League squad. Let me know your thoughts on that. Do you think he's going to see any minutes? Do you think he's just kind of there to hang out with the team? I don't know. But that is going to do it for me, you guys. Please hit that like button if you haven't yet. Please subscribe to the channel. If you do want $5 off your next jersey purchase, go to GoGo Shop. Check the link in the description to get $5 off your order. Check it out. I've got one on the way. I will put it on when it gets here on that video so you guys can check it out for yourself. But until next time, enjoy the rest of your day, you guys. I'm going to go chill and hang out with the wife. Danny, Amos, I think Amos was included. He didn't have to be because you've got your A list and your B list, right? The B list has a little different rules. It's mostly for youngsters. But I think Amos was actually included in the squad. But double check my math on that one. But I do think he was listed as well. So on that note, thanks everyone for stopping by. Rajat, Nick, Danny, and we got a new face in here as well. Where did he go? Ijeoma Chukwuma. I like that name, my guy. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Danny and Nick, obviously I told you, I'll remind you again, just keep a lookout for your shirts. They are in the mail. They will be there. I don't know when. So but keep an eye out for them, but they are in the mail. And if you want to take a fun photo of it and tag me on Twitter or anything, you go ahead and do that. But I'll take it easy, you guys. You guys do the same, and I will talk to you on the next one. Later.